Thanks for staying with us. South Africans have now passed the 100-day mark of the national lockdown in the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak. This time, South Africans spoke in a voice expressing confidence in the way government was handling the pandemic. However, in recent weeks, there have been various voices expressing their frustrations with these regulations, with some taking government to court. Now, to look at how government's handling of the pandemic and other issues such as corruption are affecting our brand outlook in the country, I'm joined by Soli Moeng, who is a brand reputation management expert. Soli, always good to talk to you. Let's just start here. How has brand South Africa been performing over 100 days of national lockdown?
Thank you, Bongi, and hello to your listeners, to your audience out there. Look, you said it yourself. We did quite well in the beginning. People were prepared to listen to government that seemed to be very, very transparent and consistent in its messaging, available, open books. And then it got to a point where when we started questioning all those regulations, some of them didn't seem to be directly related to helping us prevent, COVID-19. And we've seen the court cases that you mentioned too. So we got to a point where people were not with government anymore, and the government was not with people anymore. But not only that, people started suspecting that government is not united. Well, we've known that the ruling party or the governing party has not been united on a lot of issues, but those cracks began to show during COVID-19. People started saying, wait a minute, we want to listen to the president saying all these nice things that are credible, and the next thing, one of the ministers, Minister of Voices, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, would come up and contradict what he said, or other ministers would go off and do their own thing. So all of that has hurt the image of government. Government needed to remain strong. It needed to remain in partnership with all the other social partners, business, labor, and others. But now we're at a point where if we can't trust our government, we can't defend it. So if South Africans cannot defend government, how do you expect government to be able to speak in one voice globally? So it's really hurting the image of South Africa. And all the corruption issues coming up, the corruption related to the 500 billion rand stimulus package that came out, all those things are really not helping. Basically, it's like the ANC as usual to a lot of people.
And where do we begin to remedy, what you're talking about right now?
I think President Ramaphosa is a lucky man, and I'll explain to you why. He's a lucky man because a portion of the South African population still wants to believe in him. A portion of the people still spend a lot of time making excuses for him. They think this man really wants to do the right thing. It's just that the people in his party who have other agendas are not allowing him the space to do what he wants to do. So he has an opportunity to stand up. He still has an opportunity because people will believe him when he says, I, as president of all South Africans, not just president of the African National Congress, I speak and I say this is what is good for the country. Him and a handful of ministers in his party, like Tito Mboweni, maybe, they still have that credibility. But the longer they spend not using that space that is being allowed to them by South Africans, the harder it's going to be for them to stand up one day and be credible. Because now people are saying things about the president that they didn't say 2 years ago when he first came into office. They feel he's weak. He's not leading from the front, and they really, really want him to lead from the front. So the only way we can get out of this situation is for the president to define a path for South Africa that is clear, that is not going to be contradicted by one Ace Mahashira or other people the next day. And that is not happening.
Let's look at us as the citizens then. How would you say, from a public relations perspective, we have been doing during this lockdown? If you're still seeing videos emerging on social media of some people refusing to wear masks in public places, some people also not adhering to the lockdown regulations, how would you say we're faring there?
Look, we're doing badly as a society because we're badly led. If you take a flock of sheep, and we are not a flock of sheep, just give me an example, and the shepherd is going in all directions, they will also go in all directions. In a society of lawlessness, if lawlessness is at the top, you don't expect people from the bottom to be lawful. That is the problem we have. All brands are led. South Africa, the country brand, needs to be led by a leader that people can believe in, whose words will be taken seriously, to be coming from the right place, to be meaning well. But right now, we don't have that leader, and that's the problem. So South Africans on the ground are able to say, why must I do it? People are able to, why must I do it? Because the government has not been consistent. The government has not managed to project an image of oneness, of consistency, and not being driven by other agendas, but to save South Africans from this terrible pandemic. And that is a problem. The minute the credibility of government goes away, then you cannot expect people to be consistent. Because we are historically a very divided nation. Now we've seen issues of race coming out. We've seen people coming out to say, well, because I'm white or my business is white owned, I'm not getting this and that other help from government. You've seen some people in the ANC being accused of taking food parcels to their own friends or constituencies. Now, all of those things. So without leadership in the front that is consistent, that is clear, and that is very clear about what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and that does something about what is not acceptable, you cannot expect South Africans to be consistent in their conduct.
And let's talk about, the court action that we have been seeing against government. Of course, there's been various, shapes and forms of the legal challenges there. Would you say that this is a way of showing that our democracy is indeed maturing, or simply just a lack of confidence in those that are making decisions?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I think the fact that people can still go to the courts and the courts and what comes out of the courts is believed, whether it works, it goes against the litigants or in their favor, is a good thing. It definitely shows that we have a democracy that still has hope. So we should have these institutions, other than the courts, throughout the country functioning in that way, being credible. Right now, we don't. But when people talk about the social department, the social development department, people think, yeah, but the minister is on that side or not on that side. So we need to have other system. There was a time in South Africa when we had institutions that were credible. The SARS was credible. People paid their taxes without asking too many questions. It's lost that credibility. Other SOEs also have lost that credibility. The justice system has been seen to be consistent by far, even during the state capture years. And people still believe in our courts. And I think that we're going to lose our path the day people stop believing in our courts. We are very lucky to have them, and it shows that it can still be done. We still have it in ourselves to be a winning nation if we do the right thing. But leadership is needed.
And Soli, I just want to ask you about, one of the issues that we then saw emerging last week. That's Bulelani Xolani, that eviction there in the Western Cape, that really sparked an outrage. When you look at, how that was handled, post, that video then circulating on social media and even on various media platforms, how would you say, the Western Cape government, in fact, did when it comes to, handling that particular incident, as well as the fallout that continued afterwards?
Yeah, I think more specifically, the city of Cape Town did a really bad job in handling that thing. I think the mayor of Cape Town was wrong to go out there and say this was tactical nudity or whatever, strategic nudity. He was wrong to do that. He shouldn't have done that. And I think even whether or not this man deliberately, undressed himself, if you look at how he was handled by the police, they were not seeking to protect him from public, to protect his dignity, as it were. They were really onto him like dogs onto a piece of meat. I think that the city of Cape Town has not communicated properly on this thing. They said the wrong things at first. They need to apologize without reservation to this man. It doesn't mean that people have to support the taking of land that belongs to others without following all the process that they need to. That's beside the point. The point is we have a human being here, a man who was treated like an animal. And the city of Cape Town needed to show heart, and they didn't show heart.
Does that add to the negative outlook that we then see about, of South Africa?
Well, it does. I think that the relationship between law enforcement, whether it's at regional level or at national level, and the citizenry is at a really, really bad stage. People don't trust the government. People don't trust the law enforcement agencies. And you know what? We live in a world of social media. We live in a world where everything we do here is seen across the world. We have foreign embassies that are based here. We have got foreign media correspondents that are based in South Africa. People in South Africa are linked on social media to other people around the world. So we mustn't think that the things that we do here do not instantly become available and visible to other people around the world. So we really do have a lot of work to do. And we have to be mindful, because this country used to be known as one thing, say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe before Zuma came into power. And we are no longer that country. We are no longer the best country to be led. People are laughing at us. Other African fellows are either crying because they really, really hoped we'd be the savior, from a reputation perspective of Africa. Or they're laughing at us because we came in thinking we're the big brothers, we've got all the answers, we are better than everybody else. Now people are saying to us, look at you guys, you've just become normalized like us. This is really painful for South Africa, and we have to be mindful that the country image is linked to our success in drawing tourists and drawing foreign direct investment. If people don't believe in us, if people think that we're just another failed African country, it's going to be even harder for us to get the kind of attention that used to get, say, 10, 20 years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
And Soli, just quickly before I let you go, I was chatting to my colleague Olani, who's our business editor here earlier, looking at just how two high-profile court cases have been handled differently. You look at VPS, we've seen 8 arrests there, and issues around Steinhoff, we still have not seen any criminal charges being pursued against anyone there. What does that say about our law enforcement agencies and how these two high-profile cases were handled?
Yeah, I think it reinforces the perception that when you're white, you get away with anything. When you're black, they come after you. That's why we have a very abnormal situation where criminals who have done really great harm to our country, who happen to be black, are defended and supported as our brothers and sisters. They must be left alone. They must go after apartheid. So I think that the National Prosecutions Authority, the Hawks, they need to do their work. They need to show even-handedness. They need to show South Africans that there are consequences when you break the law, irrespective of whether you're white or black. So they do have to go after Steinhoff and tell us what's going on there. Why is it that nothing is happening? But they must also go after Life Esidimeni. They must go after the Free State style. They must go after all the state capture style. They must go. It's important that because of the history we have of race, everything is based on race. South Africans will always seek out race intentions first. You say something, whether you're white or black, it's given a different interpretation, or they think you favor white or you favor blacks or colors. So that's in there, and it's going to be with us for a long time. So it's important that those authorities make sure that whatever they do does not fit in those perceptions.
Thank you so much. That's Soli Moenge, who is a brand reputation management expert, talking to us just about how brand South Africa continues to fare, particularly looking at, over 100 days of lockdown and also various issues that have been in the public eye, and just giving a sense of just how we're looking when it comes to the rest of the world. Here's today's poll that we're running here on the channel. The question is, how would you score the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic to date? You have 4 options today: 100%, 75%, 50%, or 25%. For full results, you can watch Flatten the Curve with Thabo Mdluli from 8 to 11 p.m.